It's quite usual for young boys to have elevated energy levels, which may cause disruptions in the classroom and harm their academic performance. To address this issue, the Power Up mentors have tackled the problem by conducting research and compiled 6 fun and interactive activities to teach boys about geometry and angles. Their efforts have resulted in an exceptional math learning experience that is both entertaining and educational. These activities are specifically selected to pique their interest and help ensure that every boy stays on track with their academic progress. Certainly, no boy will be left behind in thesis classrooms.
Our first activity is short but engaging, especially for boys, creating angles with Mrs. Henry. This activity will give boys hands-on experiences with angles. They will discover as they learn. Students will tell what is formed when 2 straight lines meet, create angles, distinguish between an angle and a vertex, design shapes and show their angles and vertices. Materials needed: strips of paper, matchsticks, glue, paper, markers, or crayons. Procedure: give 2 strips of paper to each student. Let them join strips at a common vertex to form angles. Help students to distinguish between the angle and the vertex. They can highlight these with markers or crayons. In groups, distribute matchstick, paper, and glue sticks to students. Each matchstick represents a line segment. Allow students to create regular shapes. They will name the shapes and count the number of vertices, angles, and line segments that they use to create each shape. A student from each group will present the shape his group created. They will complete worksheets which require them to count the number of vertices, angles, and line segments of shapes. An example is shown on the worksheet at the side here.
Welcome to Mrs. Mills' class. Today, we will be looking at angles in the environment. There are many examples of different angles in the outdoor environment. As you walk along the road, look around you, on the ground, in the trees, on walls, or on vehicles, or many other objects all around. For this activity, students will identify and recognize the types of angles within the school environment. This activity is a real-world scavenger hunt. What will you need? Plain paper, writing books, pencils, cellular phones, or tablets. For this activity, teacher will take students on a scavenger hunt outside or around the classroom environment to see if they can spot different types of angles in the objects that they see around them. Students will look for angles that are formed by buildings, furniture, signs, staircases, gates, windows, angles made by the hands on a clock, forks of trees, etc. Students will record the names of objects seen and the names of the angles that they find in their writing books or on the plain paper. Students can also guess the measurement of the angles seen. Students will be encouraged to use their cellular phones or tablets to take photos of the angles that they find. They can make a collage of angles for homework or projects using these pictures. Following this scavenger hunt, students will do a reflection. They will discuss their scavenger hunt findings and reflect on how understanding angles can help them to navigate and interpret their surroundings. Students will also discuss the importance of angles in various professions like architecture, design, and engineering. Following this reflection, students will do an enrichment activity where they will be given a worksheet naming angles in the real world. On this worksheet, pictures are there representing angles that are seen in the real world, and they will identify each angle that is seen.
Let's learn about acute angles with Mrs. Carty. Fish journey with acute angles. This activity allows the boys to explore a little with creativity in art. The materials needed for fish journey with acute angles are colored paper cut out in circles, scissors, crayons, glue, protractor, and pencils. Procedure. The students will remove the protractor from the geometry set. They will then be given different colors of circle paper. The students will be asked to identify the right angle on the protractors. The students will state the name given to angles measuring less than 90 degrees. Acute. Allow the students to select a measurement of an acute angle, for example, 56 degrees. Measure their angle of choice using the protractor. The students will then proceed to construct acute angle fish out of circles. The students will cut out the measured angle and paste to create the tail of the fish. They will color and decorate accordingly. Students will place their fish in the class collage using the smallest to the largest acute angle.
Hi everyone, welcome to Mathematics with Miss Pinnock. Today, we will be learning about how is it that we associate angles with their names and measurements using Puzzle Up with Angles. This activity encourages relaxation, brain stimulation, and social interaction. They will learn the power of choice and strategy as they begin to recognize and thoughtfully understand how pieces of puzzles fit together to complete each angle. How do we go about completing this angle? Teacher will cut out pieces of papers with the following: names of angles, measurement of angles, and pictures of angles. Place students in groups, providing each group with sample of each angles. Allow students to sort the activity that includes the angles, their names, and measurements. Teacher will lead an open discussion in which students will be able to share their opinion how they were able to assemble the pieces. Finally, students will make an entry in their mathematics journal explaining how this activity helped them to associate angles with names and measurements.
Welcome to Mrs. Williams' class. Teaching boys angles using the angle limbo. What is the angle limbo? The angle limbo is a game designed to teach boys about angles through a fun and interactive approach. Objectives. Boys will define and identify acute, obtuse, and right angles. They will measure and classify angles accurately. They will also be engaged in an angle limbo activity that will assess their knowledge of angles. Here are 5 reasons why you should teach boys angles using the angle limbo. 1, it provides them with physical activity involving bending backward to pass under a bar. 2, fun and engagement. The angle limbo adds an element of fun and competition to learning about angles. making the concept more engaging. 3. Angle recognition. As the bar gets lower, boys need to bend their bodies at increasingly acute angles to clear it. This provides a practical way to understand and recognize different angle sizes. 4. Problem solving. As the bar gets lower, boys need to find strategies to pass under it without touching it. This encourages them to think creatively and problem solve in real time. 5. Active learning. Exploring angles through interactive activities such as the Angle Limbo game can enhance practical understanding and memory retention for boys. Materials needed: a limbo bar or a sturdy lightweight object. For example, a pool noodle, a broomstick, rope, and 2 persons to hold the limbo bar, 1 on each end. Procedure: find an open space, whether indoors or outdoors. Place the limbo bar at an appropriate height for boys to go under. Make sure the persons holding the bar are positioned on opposite ends. Divide the class into small groups. Play some upbeat music to add a bit of excitement. The first group will take their turn. Boys will be presented with an angle challenge. For example, go under the bar with an acute angle. Boys will then create that angle with their arms and bodies while passing under the limbo bar. The game will continue until each group gets a chance to participate in the activity. For each round, the boys will need to twist their bodies or go under with one leg at a time as the bar is gradually lowered. Assessment. During the angle limbo activity, students will be observed to see if they are able to adjust their bodies to match each angle. During the class discussion, teacher will assess students' participation and ability to identify and describe different types of angles. Enrichment activities. Boys will classify the following as acute, obtuse, or right angle.
Thank you, my colleagues. Welcome to Mr. Thompson's class. Today we're going to look at the game Angle Ninja. What is Angle Ninja? This offers an hands-on approach to learning geometry by physically interacting with angles through jumping, crawling, or moving through objects. Our boys can better understand the characteristics and properties of the different angles. Materials needed: markers or tape to mark the angles on the floor, hula hoops or ropes to outline angles on the ground, protractors to measure the angles encountered during the game, printed angle cards with names of different angles and their corresponding degrees, action card with action words such as jump, crawl, clap, etc., timer, and we might ask how we're going to do it. The procedure as follows: mark angles on the ground using tape or markers. Place one hula hoop over each marked angle. Place action card beside each marked angle. We place one angle card 3 feet above each marked angle. The boys will take turns to navigate their way through the obstacle course. When they reach an angle, they must do the following: measure the angle and say whether they think it is acute, obtuse, right, or straight angle. Then they will perform a specific action. For example, jump, crawl, spin, or clap towards the angle. Cards will be placed face down on the floor or on the ground. After which, he will now pick up the angle card and check if his answer is accurate. The boys will be given a minute to get through each obstacle course. Enrichment activity. The boys will be asked to create a short video explaining the different types of angles. We thank you.